Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nikmatul Lailah from class B 2018, and I will explain about my mini research proposal. Firstly, I want to say thanks to Miss Aida Aflaha that have led me so that I can finish my mini research proposal entitled The Effectiveness of Animated Cartoon in Enhancing HOTS for 7th graders of SMPN 1 Pasrujambe, and as my lecturer of English for academic purposes subject. The first one, I want to explain about the background of my research. So based on my interview with the teacher in SMPN 1 Pasrujambe, they said that the students are mostly difficult to pay full attention and easily to get bored in learning, and they also have problem or difficulties to improve or develop the students' hot skills. HOTS itself is a way of thinking at a higher level than memorizing or retelling something, and it is the upper of 3 levels of cognitive learning, includes analyzing, evaluating, and creating, that coined by Bloom's, or mostly known as Bloom taxonomy. The researcher identified that HOTS as an important component in 2013 curriculum revise is difficult to achieve, especially at the children to teenagers level, because they can get bored easily and cannot focus on the learning process for a long time. Of course, it is also related with the age factors that have influence on the language acquisition process. It is very important to maximize the English learning for children to teenagers level, so that the result of acquiring English as a second language can increase significantly for students. And it is supported by the Lannenberg theory that mentioned the language can be acquired easier because there is a biologically determined period of life. And based on this theory, it can happen at the age of 2 to puberty. So based on the identifications of the problem, the researcher over animated cartoons to overcome this problem. In choosing animated cartoon, the researcher have some consideration. But before I move to the reason, I want to explain about what is animated cartoon itself. Based on Dalla Costa, Komariotaki, Palfos, and Spiralis, animated cartoon represent a form of art that has been promoted into an important visual language which impact human sentiment and transfer message using symbols and pictures. So the animated cartoon is chosen because I assume that the interesting visualizations of animated cartoon hopefully can overcome the students' boredom, and it can increase the students' concentration to the lesson. And the last is it may increase the students' learning enthusiasm. So when the students have the enthusiasm to learning, I hope that the enthusiasm itself will help the teacher to teach easily and increasing the students' critical thinking. The animated cartoon is also chosen because the previous studies that have been conducted related with this media. The newest is conducted in 2016 by Alek Kurniawan, entitled The Effectiveness of Using Animated Video Media in Learning Listening in German for 10 MIA grade students of SMAN 1 Sedayu, Bantul. And the research result reveals that the animated video is effective in learning listening in German. With the test T data analysis result, T count 2.688 greater than T table 2.0, and the level of significance is 0.05. And then before Ale Kurniawan, Boris Ramadika also have conducted the research, but in English in 2014, entitled Improving Students' Listening Skills Using Animation Video for the 8th grade students of SMPN 6 Magelang in the academic year 2013 to 2014. And the result reveals the animation video was effective to improving listening skills of the students and teachers' performance. For the result is the pretest 2. The students' scores increased from 7.2 for pretest to 8.2 in the post-test. This research are expected to have contributions for teachers to find new media in order to increase the HOTS skills of students and to improve the material explanation in interesting way, and the last as a references for others researchers to develop and explore media in order to increase the students' hot skills. This research have two research questions. The first one is animated cartoon effective in enhancing HOTS for 7th grader of SMPN 1 Pasrujambe? And the second, how much the effectiveness of animated cartoon in enhancing HOTS for 7th grader of SMPN 1 Pasrujambe. It also has two research objectives. The first is to investigate and explain is animated cartoon effective in enhancing HOTS for 7th grader of SMPN 1 Pasrujambe, and the second to measure how much the effectiveness of animated cartoon in enhancing HOTS for 7th graders of SMPN 1 Pasrujambe. In research methodology, for research design, I will use quantitative and qualitative approach, and for quantitative approach, I will use a quasi-experimental method with a non-equivalent group design, and for qualitative approach, I will use interview. The research will conduct in SMPN 1 Pasrujambe, East Java, at ages to September 2021. And for the research subject, I will use 28 students of 7A as a control group and 30 students of 7B as experimental group. And for the instrument, I will use tests in form of pre-test and post-test to measure the students' result after the implementation and before the implementations of animated cartoon in their class. And the second instrument, I will use interview to know the views of students about the implementation of animated cartoon. Data analysis that will be used in this research is inferential statistics, and validity test will use to measure the instrument, and prerequisite test will use to determine which statistic that will be used in data processing. And after all of the assumptions are fulfilled, the researcher will decide which statistics that will be used. It is independent sample t-test or man-Whitney test using SPSS version 21. So that's all the explanation about my mini proposal research. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.